Hello. Hello. This is my first tarot stream. Um, so I've got the camera set up. That was harder than I thought. I've got a tarot table right over here. Pretty much ready. So I've done a few of these things. I've done some videos, YouTube videos. There's a thing that I created called Transmutology Tarot, meaning more or less that it's the art of change and how one perceives oneself, essentially. There's no fortune telling, really, that goes on here. There's no psychic nonsense. There, there are no psychics. There are only people who are perceptive to greater or lesser degrees, maybe than others, here and there. So, what you have with tarot is a set of artworks. If you wander into a museum, an art gallery, you look around, you might see 4 or 5 pieces arrayed in front of you on a wall. And you look at those images and you're going to get some meaning from each one. And each image will suggest something to you, whether you want it to or not, whether you realize it or not. You will have some form of suggestion made. Those images are going to trigger ideas. They're going to trigger, your will to. They're going to spur you, perhaps, to do something you hadn't even thought of. Any sequence of images you look at will do that to some degree. The tarot is made for that. It's made to push you around, to jog your mental state a bit. It's to unsettle you. It's sort of like the concept I ran across, in therapy when people go to a therapist for whatever reason. We're not talking significant, massive problems here. We're just talking about, hey, I just want to sort of discover some things. And what you sometimes find is this idea, not only talking to a professional therapist, but reading about them, this sort of bubbling up, percolating. Speaking of percolating, I just made it. It's fresh. Don't want to forget. The bubbling up, the percolating up from underneath of things, of ideas, new feelings, discoveries about yourself. These things come slowly, and you can't force them. So that's the thing. You see a lot of stupidity around tarot. You see that online a lot. You see it in Facebook groups about tarot, and you get these people that come in and they post something like, never asked this before, but Does he want to marry me? And they put an image of 3 cards, maybe, that they've pulled from a deck. Does he want to marry me? And we're supposed to get in there and go in the comments and decide for this person whether or not this fellow over here wants to marry this person based on these 3 images put in Facebook. And there are some people willing to answer that question. So, that one of those people isn't going to be me. So that's not what you use tarot for. You don't use tarot. And let me reach over here. I'm going to pull my bag. And I'm going to pull a card out. So you don't look at it and go, whoa, yeah, definitely. Look at that dude. Of course, he's rich. He's got a big cup of wine in his hand. He's got nice blue shoes. He's got his hand on his hip. That's confidence. Of course. Look at that picture that I pulled randomly out of the sky, out of a billion possible options. Yeah, go ahead and marry the guy. Sure. The guy we're talking about could be a bank robber. I mean, the tarot card isn't going to tell you what the real situation is. And unfortunately, if you get somebody who says that it will, they are not being honest with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you something. I mean, there's nobody watching yet. This is a new stream, but these things do get saved and recorded, and I'll probably export this from Twitch to YouTube. But you can see here, this is an app that I spent a long time and a great deal of energy building for the candlelightstories.com website a few years ago. And to build this app, it took an enormous amount of research. So basically, I spent my time becoming a tarot reader. But I'm also a software developer. So what I like about that combination is the brutally hard, straight up logic that you get as a software developer. You got to follow the logic. It's got to make sense. It's got to work. You can't put nonsense into a computer and get anything valuable out. That's not entirely true. In the realm of art, you may in fact do that. But if you're making something that's going to function and tell you what time it is, you gotta follow the rules of logic, and you've got to write good, solid code. So I had to write good, solid code for this tarot app that you're seeing something of here. Now, what this thing is telling you right at the very start when this app loads here, the tarot is a storyteller. Enough said. Tarot's a storyteller. When I was a kid, my mom used to say, "Don't tell stories. That's a story. You're telling a story." She would use story interchangeably with lie or fib. Well, sometimes, yes, stories are lies, sure. Fiction. Fiction is the lie that brings us pleasure, happiness. It's a good lie. The tarot is is a wonderful liar. It's a wonderful storyteller. It tells us stories every time we look. And look down here. There's a thing I mention here, that when you shuffle the 78 cards of the tarot deck, the resulting random arrangement of cards has never happened before and never will again. Each shuffle is a unique event. Any 78 things that you organize randomly, each time you do it, because the possible combinations of those 78 things, whether they're cards or rocks, doesn't matter. The possible combinations are so vast. They are on the order, they are on the scale of numbers astrophysicists use to talk about the number of atoms in the universe. So you can bet every last ounce of your being that if I shuffle the 78 cards and show you that arrangement, you are never going to get that arrangement from a shuffle, even if you shuffle 1 million times every single day for the rest of your life. You never will. A computer wouldn't even be able to do it. It would take forever, countless numbers of eons for it to happen again. That's what's so interesting about any randomization. Tarot is a randomization. It's and when you write computer code to randomize for tarot, in this case, I'm randomizing the deck, and I'll show you that if you're interested. It'll happen right here in this open area. In order to give us a 10-card Celtic Cross reading, which is over on the right side of the screen. So if you randomize, you get these infinite possibilities. That's an infinite arrangement of ideas, of images, creating stories. So you're telling yourself a story when you read the deck. A good reader is telling themselves a story. They have to convince themselves of what they're talking about before anyone they're reading for will get any value from them. The storyteller must be telling themselves the story. It has to appeal to you on a deep level somehow. And that's one thing I noticed that I love about tarot. When I read the cards for someone, I immediately get sort of lost in the possibilities of this particular story presenting itself out of thin air. So that's something I wanted to point out. Let me shuffle these cards real quick. See that? Every time I press this shuffle cards button. Now let me just show you something. I want to show you that over here. I've got that deck. I've just pulled a card out for you. This. So this is the tarot table over here. This is for the analog tarot reading, because it's funny. You talk to people about tarot, and some people object to the computer's involvement. But that is getting at one's attitude about random events. If I shuffle a deck, let me get the cards again. If I shuffle it, I go through the whole thing, just whatever. I can't shuffle them in midair, but if I do that, I'm randomizing an analog randomization, I call it. It's an analog random. If I'm over here in my software, it's a digital randomization. And it's never, there's a lot of talk about computer software can't ever truly be random. Not really, because it has to start off with some condition. That's true of a lot of things. You can analyze a lot of apparently random events and find out they ain't so random. But it's random enough. It's as random as you're ever going to get, basically. You're writing code that's basically saying, here's a set of 78 numbers, just move them around as randomly as you possibly can over and over again. If every time I press this button and do this, it does that randomization over and over again. So I do this so that the user of this app can feel like, okay, after a certain amount of time, I feel it's random enough. But the simple fact of the matter is, one click gives you a full randomization of this deck. You just want people to feel comfortable. So you build it so that they can shuffle over and over again until they feel like they're ready to start pulling cards. Now, some people may be familiar. I'm sure a lot of tarot people, of course, are familiar with the Celtic Cross. And there are variations of the Celtic Cross. Some people put a little bit different explanation or emphasis on each position. But in researching all of this, I sort of went back and forth with many, many different possible sort of explanations for each card, the basic meaning of each position in this arrangement. And I've settled on this because this seems to be the one that rings true to me and made sense. So I use the Tarot de Marseille deck. The Tarot de Marseille deck is really old. It's basically a French thing. But it has all these, it's very complicated, the history of tarot. And also there's a lot of rubbish in that history that people just fill in what they have no idea about. And a lot of books have a lot of nonsense in them and a lot of speculation. But basically, it's one of the oldest decks. Not the oldest, but it's one of them. It's very old. So if you're reading the Tarot de Marseille, you are reading an old, pretty darn original tarot deck. And it is different than like the Rider-Waite deck. The Rider-Waite is very popular, American. But it does, the Tarot de Marseille does the numbers in a much more abstract way than other decks. So what you get, of course, you've got the major arcana cards, which are, your typical picture, very much like the Rider-Waite does. But then you get the number cards, which are very symbolic abstractions. So you've got the you know, the suit. You've got your cups there, and you got your number. And that's what you have to work with. So you have to know something about that suit and the number 8. Now, 8. Numerology. There's a form of numerology that works with this deck. You don't get the nice little pretty explanation. You get that. 8. Perfection and balance. Let's get away from the shuffled deck. Go to the intro, meanings of the number cards. I laid them out here. And this is sort of based, interestingly, I equate this back into the tree of life here. So, 8, splendor, energy, success. Well, perfection and balance. 8. It's an even number. The evens tend toward completion, balance, and stability. The odds, like 5, tend toward jostling, conflict, new ideas. The 3, action and creativity. 4, stability and strength. 7, benevolent action and spiritual growth, something new coming in. 2s, accumulation and preparation, coupling. 9, transitional crisis, perseverance required. 10, completion and an end of a cycle. This is just a very simple, quick layout of the numerology of the number cards. But you'd be amazed how difficult this is. I'd recommend trying to nail this down sometime and look at all the possibilities that are out there for thinking about the numbers. It is quite an experience, and you have to really dig in and find out where these numbers are coming from and what tends to be the common belief about these numbers, the general feeling. And if that general feeling really does agree with, I mean, if you completely disagree with it and you're reading tarot, you've got a problem. Where do you land on numerology? I tend to be someone who balances the subjective with the objective. So I try to research, I try to find things that make as much sense as possible and seem to be more prevalent. And then I balance that against what my reaction to something is. And I tend to favor, I try very hard to lean toward the objective. I really make a concerted effort to do that. So that's what I've done here. And this is the result. This took a year. Just these little statements here, each one has basically 2 ideas in each statement about a number. It took me a year. So there you go. I'm a little slow, but all I would say is try it sometime. Try to disagree with me. Look at my ideas about these numbers and try to disagree with me and find something better that you may. I'm shuffling the cards again. So let's try a 10-card reading. And we're going to say that this reading is for anyone watching. This is for anyone watching. And we're going to say, okay, first card is the major concern or heart of the matter. Let me switch over to give you the screen. Well, no, I don't. I can leave my face on there. I have a version of it without me and a version with me. Okay. The major concern of the heart of the matter. We're gonna do a reading that's about sort of the general idea going at the moment. We're coming out of a pandemic. Well, we're not. We're trying to come out of a pandemic, and we've been wanting to do things that we used to do. So, just a general reading, sort of, to give us some idea about getting out of that funk, that torpor, depression associated with isolation and worry and doubt. Just sort of let's see if we get let's see what kind of a feeling for this next few months. Now, interestingly, I built basically a machine learning component to this. So when the reading is done, the machine learning algorithm will kick in and it will analyze the reading. It'll analyze all of the cards and tell us what the general mood of the reading is. You'll see what I mean when I get there. It's based on a very famous, very old machine learning algorithm. In other words, you can feed text, which in this case, it's the text of the reading, all the 10 cards of the reading, fed in to an algorithm, and the software reads that and decides based on its contents. It compares the contents it's reading to a list of words from the English language that are categorized as positive and another list categorized as negative. And it compares the reading against those and it assigns a weight, positive versus negative, to the reading. And it gives you its impression, its analysis of the general tone of the reading. It's interesting if you're into software. Okay, let's just start here. Shuffle again. Major concern or heart of the matter card. I'm going to pull, bing. Oh, Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune, the card of change. Take the next step, make the next move. 2, the crossing card, current obstacle. Boom. Imperatrice. Okay, the Empress. Well, there's she's the and I still use the sort of old-fashioned. She's the more sort of motherly force, sort of sense of self-awareness and peace, fertility and calm and strength. So that's crossing. So we have the heart of the matter with the Wheel of Fortune suggesting we need to take that next step. But let's let the software do its thing instead of me explaining for you. So number 3, I'll explain, but let's first let the software. Number 3, root cause, the inner factor. Sort of the unconscious drives underneath. Let's pick one. Bang. Okay. 7. Well. Okay. 7's benevolent action, spiritual growth. Wands. Okay, let's see what happens. Number 4, past fading influences, something leaving. Bang. Oh boy, okay. The Knight of Wands, fading influence, active, sensual, creative, fading. 5, conscious intention, self-advice. Boom. Oh, the world upside down. That's interesting. The world, complete wholeness, but upside down. It's reversed. All right. 6, near future. It's coming up. 5 of Swords. 5 is another sort of bursting with new. There's tension and conflict, and things are moving. Something has come in and is unsettling everything. That's coming up. But it's a sort of in the realm of thought and ideas. So some kind of conflict coming. 7, personal self-image, kind of how we feel about ourselves. Bang. Tower. Oh boy. Okay. Upheaval. All right. 8, outer social influence, kind of how we feel like things are going around us. Reversed. 4, swords. Okay. Okay, well. Stability, reversed. All right. Outer social and will. Okay. Let's keep going. 9, hopes and fears. Temperance, reversed. Let's keep going. The likely outcome. Let's just go right to the center. Bang. And we, judge. Okay. Oh boy. Okay. Well, this reading has been analyzed already. Reading tone, mildly disadvantageous. Okay. It's, mildly disadvantageous. Well, let's read what it's saying about each of the 10 card positions. Number 1, the middle, the heart of the matter. The major concern or heart of the matter, the Wheel of Fortune, represents the movement and change of life. Consider the various options open to you at a juncture or crossroad. Blind luck plays a role, but fortune does favor those who make wise decisions. Okay, so the heart of the matter is we need to think about our options. That's basically what we're doing with this reading. We want to know how to move forward. What is the next step after all this sitting on the sofa and staying away from our friends? 2, the current obstacle. The Empress represents a balanced and powerful creativity, enthusiasm, and beauty. Strong attractions and desire may be increasing. She is sort of it's not necessarily an obstacle. Well, it is, but it can be used positively is what I'm saying. So we're having a concern about being able to maintain our power, our creativity. We've gotten lazy. We want to take the next step with the fortune card, but we've gotten lazy. And it's not really lazy. It's not an indictment of, it's just what we've had to do. We've had to, in fact, we've had to be more creative in some ways, working from home or finding out if a business closed and you don't have work and you have to do something else. But that's our concern. That's what's worrying us. That creative energy. We want to be balanced, but it's creating nervousness. So number 3, let's go on. Root cause, unconscious factor, the 7 of Wands. Indicates new inner visions and intuition leading toward higher goals and new achievements. There's a new creative force and a willingness to listen to the inner voice. That's what's bubbling up from inside. That's sort of what's driving us, unbeknownst to ourselves. That's obvious for most of us. 4, past fading influence. The Knight of Wands signifies the enthusiastic and active creative mind heading out into the world to meet all challenges. You meet new possibilities and new sensual experiences with confidence. This physicality and creation, this, the sensual life, the physical, yes, past fading influence for many of us during a pandemic. We're not running around being particularly sensual. We're wearing masks. What are we going to do? So, yes, that's something that we're all concerned with and have been thinking about. Past fading influence. That's nice to hear. 5, conscious intention or self-advice. Self-advice part is important. The world, but it's upside down. It's reversed. It can mean a falling back from complete achievement of a whole self. There may be an inability to rise above self-concern. Try to find where you are failing to reach your potential. One wants to reach self-awareness and full potential, but one can also become obsessed with oneself. And that can be unhealthy. So the advice here, the conscious awareness, what this card is suggesting is keep this in mind. Yes, you want to move forward, take the next step, be creative, get your energy back. But keep in mind this little, don't obsess on yourself necessarily. Okay? 6, near future, 5 of Swords. Represents a new point of view or idea. This is the jostling coming in. A new idea or idea that leads beyond your current limits. The mind may be engaging in more spiritual thoughts and seeking higher enlightenment. Well, yes, we want to move forward. We want our energy back. We want our physical energy back, but we also want our ideas to expand. We want to break out of the prison we're in mentally and think new thoughts, come up with new ideas to act on, to inspire ourselves. 7, the 7 card down here. Personal self-image, the Tower presages turmoil and the sudden destruction of existing structures, beliefs, habits, relationships, or projects. Upheaval that shakes one to the very foundations is something unavoidable. Okay? This is something we see in ourselves. We know that we may have a tendency to this upheaval, and it may be healthy. You have to be careful, though, about upheaval, about sudden, quick, massive change. But this card's not reversed. This card is suggesting that we look at this positively. This isn't a destructive energy. This is a change. This is upheaval that brings. It's like the 5 of Wands card, the jostling. It's taken to the major extreme, and because it's a major arcana card, it's fundamental to our personality. These are the big cards with it's deep in us, and it persists. It keeps that energy keeps coming through us, not just on a daily basis, but over and over again. Number 8, the outer social influence. Of course, this is just what we think about the outer. This doesn't mean that, Jane Smith necessarily thinks this of me. This is my inner working. This is a card suggesting that I think about how I think other people see me. outer social influence. The Four of Swords, reversed, can indicate a closed mind because there's so much stability in the realm of the swords here, which is the mental realm, belief realm, can indicate a closure, too secure, too locked in. You know, the four posts holding up the house, but it can be a prison. So he refuses to seek outside of its comfort zone. It may also indicate oppressive ideas and tyranny. It's a number card, though. The number cards aren't as major, obviously, as the major arcana. They aren't as fundamental to our personality. They're changeable. They're changeable quickly, almost on a daily basis. So it's basically saying, I get this sense that people may sort of be thinking along the line that I'm closed down, that I'm not really doing what I should. I'm stuck. Okay, but that could change next Wednesday. It's no big deal. Okay, just keep it in mind. 9 up here, hopes and fears. This is a reversed card again. Temperance card, major arcana card again. Temperance reversed implies obsession with one thing or the other. Examine the possibility that you are limiting your thinking and avoiding the work of self-improvement. Temperance wants to do things the right way. She wants to keep things moving. She's pouring water from what she wants to keep things flowing. It's like it's where you get the expression, go with the flow. That's why there's this obvious picture. Blah, 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 blah. So, and it's sort of, there's a balance of the flow of the energy. You're in the flow. You're moving along. You don't even know why everything's working, but it's reversed. You might not be getting that flow. This is something worrying us about ourselves. Pay attention to it. 10th card, last position, the likely outcome. Judgment card, another major card. A lot of major cards in this reading. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 10 are major arcana. Those are the big kahunas, the big, deep personality, structural images. Judgment reversed can mean a denial of one's purpose and enslavement to old ways of thinking. Are you unwilling to accept yourself and your true purpose in life? Now, I've drawn a line here between the 5th card and the 10th card. It's called a modifier line. That means that 5th card, which is that self-advice card, has an influence on the final outcome card. So you're denying one's purpose. You're not listen, or we are not quite able to get this energy out. We're not ready yet. That may be actually really good advice with this pandemic, because we got this pandemic and people want to get out of it and things are opening up, and then they use this word surge in the pandemic starts showing up over here and then over there. Oh, well, so this reading might be something really saying, okay, whoa, yeah, you want to bust out. We know you want to go to the club. You want to do all this, but keep in mind that we're not quite there yet. And don't get all self-obsessed with this 5th card is telling you. Don't get all self-obsessed and then, up here you're not really paying attention to what your real purpose is, what you should really be doing right now. And you've got temperance over here with hopes and fears saying, you might be limited in your thinking. You might not be actually in the flow. Something's not quite right here. And it probably goes back. To the seventh card here, this upheaval in the personal self-image, the tower, turmoil. We're not done. Something's not developed yet. Something's not ready. We're making efforts, and we have the desire to move, but something's not ready yet, and we're becoming a little imbalanced, a little self-obsessed, a little selfish maybe, and we're missing something in the end. That's why this is mildly disadvantageous. It's not disadvantageous. It's not as bad as it can be. It's mildly, according to the machine learning algorithm that looks at the positivity and negativity balance of the language. Now, I've got another way of looking at this reading. This is the list way. There's also a narrative way where it's all presented as one story. It just depends on how you prefer to read it. See? It's just a different way of reading it. It's written a little differently. But we don't have to go through that because we've done the reading. So it's a little concerned for our efforts and our energies to move forward and just get back to where we were and start having all that fun again. I gotta have some more of this. So let me check in on what's going on with because I'm new to this streaming thing. Let me see. It's fun though.
Things consistent. That's how you be a superhero. Random graffiti.
Okay, so I was, yeah. Let me. Let's see what's going on here. There we go. I'm just doing a little housekeeping real quick. Make sure my software stuff is. I'm just doing a little housekeeping, make sure my software. See, I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay. There we go. Got it. Let me. Oh, that's right. All right. What I'm going to do right now is, since I've done a reading with the software, I have a film, a video I did. That I can play. Welcome to Transmutology Tarot. I am Alessandro Cima, and I'm going to do a tarot reading using the Celtic Cross. The subject is going to be creativity and beginning an artistic project of some kind. Transmutology is the way of change. It's new. Founding such a thing is very interesting because many things are about the ways of change, but starting something new puts a different spin on it and makes one think of things from a new angle. And often when you're doing something that's your own or new, other people start to mention things that they've noticed about it that you hadn't considered. So transmutology is about change, how we do it, why we do it, where it leads, and what could be better at illustrating change than the tarot. At least I think so. I'm sure many of you do too. Pictures are always good to look at and think about, assuming they're good pictures. Even if they're not, they can often be very, very interesting. All right, creativity. The beginning of an artistic project or career. It's a bit of a general subject, but I think it works. So we'll give it its time, which will be the present, now. And anyone that has some use for these ideas can watch the video and see where it leads. All right, let's get the cards ready. So before reading, I shuffle an already well shuffled deck. It's the full deck, major and minor arcana. And it's the Marseille tarot, which is a very, very old deck, mainly used in Europe these days. In the US, the Rider-Waite deck is the most popular one. But the Tarot of Marseille is a bit more abstracted and therefore extremely interesting to think about. All right, I am going to cut the deck one last time and begin to lay out the Celtic Cross. Position 1, the major concern, or the heart of the matter. The Knight of Pentacles, or coins. Position 2 is the crossing card, the current obstacle. The 6 of coins. Position 3, the root cause or unconscious factor. The Major Arcana World card. Position 4, past fading influence. The Knight of Swords. Position 5, conscious intention or self-advice. The 4 of coins. Position 6, near future. Major Arcana card, Judgment. Position 7, personal self-image. The 4 of Swords. Position 8, outer social influence. Major Arcana card, Force, otherwise known as Strength. Position 9, hopes and fears. The 2 of coins. And position 10, the likely outcome. The Chariot, Major Arcana card. All right, let's put the rest of the deck away. We're talking about creativity, embarking on an artistic project of some kind. Let's look at what we have in the basic sense, sort of as a unit. A lot of coins, a lot of earth, a lot of physical matter here, a lot of money or wealth concerns. We have quite a few major arcana cards here. 2 are reversed. All right, position 1. The knights are very active. So we see a great deal of confident, active work in the material realm, in the world of money, trading, value, earning a living, taking care of the physical work required to support one's creativity or as a result thereof. This is the heart of the matter. This is what's currently lying in the middle of this entire issue of moving ahead with creativity or some artistic project. So there's perhaps an inclination toward moving out. You could think of it almost as the artist leaving the studio and putting her work out there into the world. Let's move to the crossing card. The 6 of coins. This is the card of harmony, communication, community, secure presence, beauty of form, the ability to function with ease in one's surroundings and one's particular milieu, one's world. This is an influence on the heart of the situation. It is often a crossing factor, an obstacle, but these cards don't seem to be functioning at odds with each other. They seem to be supporting one another. So the active knight wanting to move forward into the world, take his work out there, perhaps show it, is in fact being reinforced by the 6 of coins, which is the card of stability and beauty and ease and grace. It can sometimes indicate a little laziness and overconfidence, but the card is not reversed here. This is a very positive heart situation here. Now, the unconscious factor lying underneath everything here is the world. This is the ultimate major arcana card. This is the intact whole world of the personality. This is the self understanding itself. This is a balanced individual, a balanced effort, a balanced artistic impulse. This is wholeness has arrived. Confidence that is well placed and on a solid foundation. That appears to be what is going on under the surface, driving one forward unconsciously. So there's a dream life, not of worry and doubt, but of strength and wholeness. All right, let's move to past fading influence in the 4th position. This is the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords, the realm of thought, the air element. Again, the knight is moving into action. So what's happening here is fading away a bit is maybe a lot of work has gone on, a lot of preparation, a lot of mental energy has been spent on setting things up, getting things into the right position, arranging events, An artist might have spent the last year or months arranging studio space, setting it up, acquiring materials, maybe meeting people. A lot of thinking has gone into establishing one's place. A lot of activity, a lot of detail work has happened, and has probably allowed a lot of the freedom we see here, with this unconscious factor being so self-confident and ready to go without any problems whatsoever. This preparation has done its job. Let's move up to card number 5, which is conscious intention, and can also be thought of as self-advice. So this is something you're well aware of, and you're sort of telling yourself over and over again to think about. This is the 4 of coins reversed. Now, the 4, similar to the 6, is a card of strength, stability. You can think of the 4 posts holding up a house, the 4 towers maybe at each corner of the castle. That kind of strength, security, enclosure, perhaps a little bit too secure, maybe a little set in one's ways. And this is reversed, this card. So that could be the artist or the creative person reminding themselves that not to sit tight, not to rest on one's laurels too long, to in fact follow what's happening here, what these knights are suggesting, which is, come on, let's go, let's get it out there, let's go hang this painting and get the crowd in front of it, because this is going to be something. That's the self-advice here is let's come on, let's get up, let's use this energy, and let's not worry about it, and sit and perhaps think, well, maybe we should just play it a little safer, because what if somebody doesn't like what we're doing? Oh my gosh, that could happen. Maybe I should stay home. No. Maybe I should do a little bit more preparation. I've got some stuff to read over here. After all, I'm writing a poem, and who am I to put all this energy into writing a poem? I haven't read every poem. I don't know what all the great poets have said. So how can I think that I should put words on paper? No, I'm just going to turn on the TV and think about this. Well, that's what this card is reminding us to be cautious of. So let's think about the energy happening here and be careful not to let this creep up on us, because creative people very strong, but the ability to change with creativity, to find new paths, new angles on things, to think of things or see things the way no one else has before. That variability creates a changeability that can sometimes change one's mood very, very quickly. And energy can suddenly be diverted and become restful, secure, complacent. This self-advice card is keeping us awake to that. Card number 6, near future influence. Judgment, big card. Judgment, it can certainly mean someone's passing a judgment on someone else, or one is passing a judgment on oneself, or one's creation, or one's actions, or even on one's very thoughts. But it also often means that that judgment, that very self-analysis, is listening or finding a voice that is calling toward a true purpose, a true goal, one's calling. One's calling isn't necessarily preset. When you're born and going to school as a child, and you may think you know your true calling at some point, and sometimes you might, but often you don't. Sometimes you have a calling at one age and another one at another age. A calling, they can change just like anything else. The near future is suggesting that one is listening to that voice, leading one toward a true calling. This is all working together in an extraordinary way. We are seeing energy moving out. We are seeing harmonious communication in the world. We are seeing complete unconscious wholeness of personality. The conscious and unconscious mind meeting and working together. The thinking process that has set things up, the warnings about being complacent, and coming up the final judgment, meaning this is arriving, my calling, I am actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing. This project, this endeavor is the road I should be taking. I'm following the great horn blast that I'm hearing in my head. However you want to refer to it, a calling is quite often a word that you hear, that you think about, that you ponder. Let's move to card number 7, which is the personal self-image, and it's the 4 of Swords, which is again the air, the mental thinking realm. It's reversed. Self-image. Self-image is always a confusing problem, I think, for most people. We often look at ourselves and don't even see the actual person. In fact, we never see the actual person in a mirror. Physics forbids it. But we just think of ourselves in our own way, and sometimes it has very little to do with what somebody else thinks when they see us. So this self-image, the 4, again, like here with the coins, is the card of stable, security, home. It's being flipped indicates, okay, this is too much. I've overdone this. I've been thinking the same darn thoughts over and over again, and they haven't really gotten me anywhere. So it might be time to discard some of those and move forward with what this is all telling me here. So, you know, I sort of think of myself over here in my personal self-image as having been a little locked into things, and that's why I'm doing all this. I'm moving out of this, and I'm actually taking some risks now. And let's see where it leads me. Okay. Card number 8, outer social influence. This can be very dangerous for an artist or any creative person. Outer social influence. What are they thinking? What are all these people at the gallery? What do they think? Oh my gosh, an important person is coming down and they just pulled out a pen and a notebook. What are they writing? What's going to appear in the newspaper tomorrow? What do my friends think at the party? Strength. Strength is the card of calmly and rather quietly, without much apparent effort, mastering the world, essentially. Mastering the wild forces of nature of one's own mind, but doing it with a grace and an ease that comes from the incredible confidence that you see here, and ability and experience. This card's reversed. So, perhaps a creative person is worried that people outside, on the street, passing by, looking at their attire, or what good shape I'm in or not in, and whether or not I really am this confident person, this person of great ability. Do they think that oh my gosh, maybe they don't believe this. Maybe I'm just an imposter, you know? In fact, being an imposter isn't bad. I read a book recently. It was a book about Muhammad Ali, the boxer. And he said, I'm going to quote it, probably not entirely accurately, but he said, try to be the greatest. But if you can't be the greatest, pretend. You know, that takes a lot. That takes something to say something like that. Well, it takes a lot not to worry too much when you're building something, when you're making something new. It takes a lot not to worry too much about what people are thinking of your work, because you worry too much about that and you don't make your work. You make something else. You make someone else's work. So this is very tricky for the artist or creative person. And this card, it's a great thing this card is here flipped, because it is something to constantly be on guard for and not worry about. Just, in fact, saying being on guard, it gives it too much power over one. In fact, just sort of take the force card's basic idea of the ease with which one masters things, and take that idea of that strong, easy approach to essentially dismiss the problem of other people and what they may or may not be thinking of you. Just that easy. Card number 9, Hopes and Fears. This is the 2 of coins, reversed. The 2. Well, the number of accumulation, preparation, the gathering of force to explode into the creative action of the 3. The 2 is the pairing, the positive, the negative, the yin, the yang. Things are coalescing. They're kind of, you know, the heat is on under there and things are sticking together, and that will soon burst into the energy required for all of this. So this is flipped as well it could be. This is definitely a primary fear in the artist or any creative person. This fear that these parts won't work together. This won't come together. I can't possibly balance these forces and make them produce anything viable. This is my worry as an artist. I can't, how am I going to do this? I cannot bring both parts of my mind, my conscious thinking power and my unconscious intuitive mind. I can't seem to make them work together. What if they never speak to one another? Am I doomed? Is my project just going to shrivel and fall dead off the tree? Well, that's a totally legitimate fear. I don't think there's a single artist. I don't think there's a single person that can avoid this fear. Something to think about, pay attention to when it bubbles up. You use the idea of this card, this calm, easy strength, as you would use this sort of attitude in meditation, and you just observe it. And, oh, that's an interesting little bubble of tar popping up in my water glass. Okay, well, I'll just pour it off into the sink there and forget it. All right, let's move on. The 10th position, the likely outcome, the Chariot Reversed. All right, well, the Chariot is an arcana, a major arcana card, archetypal card. The Chariot just rides out and just takes command of the entire thing, just without even holding the reins. The horses know what the driver wants, they know where to go, and the driver is almost just, the driver is actually almost a bit unpleasant. There's an overarching, it's an arrogant card. It's an inflated card. It tramples things under hoof. You know, it's almost like a stage with a pompous actor in a Shakespearean play standing there, you know, declaiming something while these horses trample over roughshod through the theater. So you have to be very careful with this card. Now it's flipped, so it's possibly a more humble experience. And what I would say is that we have this influence here of conscious intention. This card always plays back and forth with the likely outcome card. These two cards are connected. This conscious intention, this making sure that we don't become too stable, too secure, too isolated, this is going to determine how we approach this 10th reversed card. And so what I would do is to say that this activity and this card of the near future with one's calling, answering one's calling, looking at oneself and realizing what one is supposed to be doing, gives one the confident trajectory through in order to look at this chariot, this ambivalent card here, to look at it and determine that it is a warning to maintain balance. Great success can be disastrous in many respects, especially for an artist. This likely outcome is a warning. It is suggesting that though you may find exactly what you're looking for, total success, keep it down to earth. Climb down out of the chariot. Walk. Maintain your connection. Keep your connection to the material that's represented with these pentacle coin cards. That's how I would see this in general. A very energetic central cross, a very material success, finding one's calling, putting things into the action with a very solid connection between conscious and unconscious minds, leading to the possibility of great success, but nevertheless, that little tip, keep your head about you. Well, there you have it. That is one that I did some time ago. About a year ago. Creativity. Those are good readings. I like that kind of reading because it doesn't get into the necessity for prediction. You know, you better be careful because you're applying for that new job next week and the cards don't look good. I would advise caution. Maybe this isn't the job for you. Really? I'm going to say that to someone because then they foolishly decide to listen to me and not go for their job interview and can't pay their rent 2 months later. It's ridiculous. You know, the abuse of storytelling that goes on in the psychic realm. I love psychic driving by. You know, I'm driving along, and whoops, phone calls. Driving along, and you know, you see the neon sign, psychic. I love that stuff. It's great, and I always want to go in there. I kind of, you know, but I never do. Actually, I did once. I took someone to a psychic who did tarot readings, and they went in and came out and were really pissed off because it was fast and just shoddy and silly. You know, and that's the thing. If you want to read tarot cards for people, you really kind of have to not need to read tarot cards for people. You really have to not need to make a living reading the damn tarot cards for people, because that begins to the gravitational pull to tug you in to bullshit, because you need to keep it going. You need to sell, right? So you get real sweet, and you get real, you donated to me. Oh, you're so sweet. Oh, thank you. Oh, I know. And I'm just blowing smoke right up your, right? I'm so sweet and nice, and you know, you gave me your little bits and whatever. I'm nice, right? I'm so nice, and it's hard for me to hold back the tears when I see the donations coming through. Oh, I feel so close to you, right? Really? Dude, you know what? If I meet you, I'm going to wipe that smile right off your tarot card deck. Don't bullshit me. You want to talk about ideas, inspiration, avenues for thought? That's great. That's good. That's what tarot's for. It is not for telling you who wants to marry you, who you should marry, whether you should get in the car and avoid a car accident tomorrow on the highway. So, that's what it is. Now, let's go over here to the tarot table, and I'll do a reading, and I'll tell you whether or not you should go out to eat tomorrow. Okay. Just kidding. So, all right. Let me try and get over to the tarot table, and I'm going to do a 3-card reading and see what happens. So let me do this. Okay. All right. Now, we're going to make this about creativity again. And this is not a YouTube video. This is a now event. And earlier, while the video was playing, I was shuffling these cards a bit. So I'm going to just do a very quick cursory shuffle. And cut. Okay. Let's do, the waning influence on the left. The center is the current influence, and the right is the upcoming, or something we want to move toward creatively. Six of Cups reversed. Ooh, okay. The 13th card. And the upcoming Knight of Swords. All right. So we're in the realm of creativity here with this. And let me turn the mic a little bit. Okay, so we are looking at creative energies, and it's in keeping with the 10-card reading I did just about 45 minutes ago. On the left is the Six of Cups, the waning influence. And basically what we're seeing there is the 6 being the card of pleasure, stable sort of, we've arrived, we are generous, we are sharing, we are attracted, and we've achieved some sort of splendid success. We've kind of arrived, and we're enjoying the fruits of our labor, what we've accomplished. What the 5 that precedes this has unsettled us and led to new developments, and now we're kind of reaping those benefits. And it's the realm of emotion, love, the cups, but it's reversed, which means we could be wallowing, we could be basking in our feelings, our wonderful feelings about ourself and our work and maybe other people, someone we love, but we're not moving. We're just sort of taking it for granted, basically, what that 6 reversed means. We're complacent. We're arrogant. You take someone for granted. You take an emotional attachment to someone for granted, and you become sort of, you just sort of aren't paying attention anymore. But that's waning. That's those feelings, that inability to truly enjoy, where we're more obsessive and stuck on something rather than just really enjoying it for what it is. That reversal is passing, and now in the present, what we're dealing with. Oh, and by the way, again, the number card is somewhat superficial from a temporal point of view. It's easy come, easy go. This is easily changed. And this is something that's sort of moving away. We don't need to worry too much about it. We've been perhaps feeling a little too secure in some feelings in our emotional life, probably a bit more or less about ourselves. Now, currently, what we see here is, this doesn't mean you're going to drop dead. What this means is something is dying, something is leaving and move. It's the field is being plowed, literally. Look at him. He's cut down the stalks, and the heads are off. There's feet, there's hands, but you see what they're doing? They're fertilizing the new growth. They are fertilizing. If you see here, without the heads, the hands, the feet, they're fertilizing the field for the next stage of development. So it's almost like, something here, some complacency, self-satisfaction that's preventing us from really feeling what we need to feel, or analyzing our feelings or understanding them. We're moving past that, and we have a tendency built into ourselves as artists, let's say, to plow the field afresh, to plant next year's crop and move on. That's what this card is saying. Let the old, it's basically out with the old, in with the new. That's what's going on there. Now, upcoming, you have the Knight of Swords. This is the mental realm, the abstract realm, ideas and beliefs, conflict. The Knight is an active energy. Now, the Court card is a more permanent sort of a feature than this. So upcoming, we have it's not quite as profound as these, which are very deeply ingrained, at least in some of us. This card is more influential over the coming weeks, and months. And it's the active knight. The knight literally rides out and goes forth and puts those energies into play. And this is the realm of thought and applying ideas and techniques to things, getting out there and rushing out and applying oneself to building things, to creating new skills, putting together things at work, or since we're in the realm of creativity, this is the planning and the consideration that goes into, like, what's the meaning of this thing I want to do? What does it make business sense? Is it a waste of everyone's time? Things like that. But this is reversed, which means that there is some hesitation. There's an inability to move forward. So we're trying to get out and leave something that's been some sort of emotional laziness, little self-satisfied, or maybe you could even say on the darker end of the spectrum, we've been wallowing in depression because of pandemics and such things. And it's just, not even aware how stuck we are emotionally. And then, of course, now we're saying, come on, I know I have this ability to cut the corn down and plow the field and get things ready and growing for next year. I know I can get moving out of this, and this is what I have to do. But there's something here that's holding up my ability to put the thoughtful actions, the application of my intellect to work. So this is a warning. I need to consider what is holding me up intellectually Am I lacking some skills that I think I need? Do I not understand the current environment? Do I need to do a little bit more analysis? Do I need to think more logically about myself, about what my feelings have been, why I've been so stuck in something recently? That's what it's saying. It's not saying you aren't going to go anywhere. It's saying think it through. If it weren't reversed, it would be a little bit more like, hey, take what you know because you know it and go. Get going, apply it. You're doing fine. I'm having a little wax come out of my candle here. So I'm going to quickly take it off. Whoops. I guess that's not how you take wax off. I'm just going to put this on a piece of paper like so. My little candle is leaking. See? That's the practical, physical world introducing itself quite splendidly to tarot. So there you have a 3-card reading about creativity these days. I'm just going to leave that there. Okay. All right. I'm going to clear this reading. By the way, this app, you can take a snapshot. Basically, if I click this button, I just took a snapshot of the reading. In other words, it made a JPEG, which I can click it and do, I can copy the image or whatever and save it later for what it's worth. I thought that was an interesting feature in the app because somebody gets a reading in an app and then it's gone forever. If they want to think about it and read it again as like a little story, basically, they need to be able to snapshot it. So that's what it is. Anyway, a Marseille tarot deck. So yeah, it European. Goes back basically to somewhere in this early 1700s, France. The Rider-Waite deck. All tarot decks, I mean, there's something interesting about all of them. I'm just not that fond of it for some reason. I really like the straight ahead number symbol cards in the Marseille. So here it explains how tarot games appeared to have been played in Italy in the 15th century and got to France around 1500. And the Marseille deck derives from those old game decks from Italy. And I actually actually have this old Italian deck of cards. So, anyway. Here. Look at that. Look at that 5 of cups. Isn't that great? And look at that. The world. Il mondo. Italia. That's cool. Yeah, this is great. You know, I keep this on my shelf. This is from Italy. This, that's the moon card, La Luna. This is an old family item from way back, coming straight out of Italy. And I got hold of this through my family. It was passed to me. And I never look at the darn thing. I keep it in the box. But you can see what's going on here. It mirrors, it's the Marseille deck, really. You know? Look at that. Wow, there's a date written on this one. You can see that little pen mark up in the corner, upper left corner, says 1157. November of 1957. Somebody wrote that on one of the cards. Jot it. See it? Ah, there it is. 1157. Somebody who owned this deck wrote that. Look at that. The 1 of Cups. Look at the Bountiful. What a great illustration. This is quite a deck. Oh, man. I mean, look at this darn thing. Wow. Gee whiz. This is so crazy. That 8 of Swords. Look at that. Oh. The Hermit. L'Ermita. Look at this. This is wild. I get the focus. The Hanged Man. Look, they just show the feet. Just the feet. So funny. It's really good. Mm. Magician. Bagato. Well, anyway, I have to take care of this. This is a good one. Italia. Quite a deck. Man, it's worn. Somebody was using the hell out of this. Be very careful with it. It's like a man. It's a Tarocco Piemontese. That's from the Piedmont region in northern Italy, which is exactly where the tarot came out of, I believe. It's amazing. Look at that. Well, don't want to spill coffee on this, so hang on. Then there's another little one that I have tied up in twine. And it's Tirrenia. Anyway, this is a little game deck. It's different. It's not actually a tarot deck. It's a little Italian game deck. So and then I ordered, this is a new printing of this old Sforza, I believe, deck. That's what they call it. Now, it was the deck in Italy done. They were made for, rich patron, rich family might get a, like, look at this, the swords card. And then there's, strength. Yeah, pretty cool. Great stuff. These things, look at the cups. Look how they're just sort of scribbled in. Anyway. checking out my other screen. So, here I'm talking about in the app. Wait, I want to get you to the app. The Marseille deck derives from those old decks, those old Italian decks, and maintains their more abstract minor arcana cards, the number cards, those little abstractions. The abstraction of the Marseille cards makes them more suited to an open-ended interpretation when performing readings. This is true. This is obviously a little bit more open-ended. You abstract something and it becomes more debatable what it means. Rider-Waite has that slightly annoying American tendency to want to go, oh, this is what that means. That card means this, and here's an exact little cartoon about that. It's not quite that, but it leans there. And I'm talking here about the tarot's fascinating correspondence to numerology and the various numeric positions on the tree of life, which I showed earlier. Yeah. Tarot reading is always a combination of specific meanings that have tended to accrue to the cards over long periods of time and personal invention. That's true. Structure of the deck, well, you know, the Hanged Man, yeah, that's a major, then the minor court card, and then the number cards, of course. And there's I love this list of the numbers. I feel like the work I did on this was thorough enough and got me to something that rings a bell every time I use it. I feel like, yep, that's an apt description of the quality of that number card. Now, the meaning of the four suits, very simple. Wands, creativity, desire, passion, work. Fire. Pentacles, the earth element, material needs, finance, physicality, sensuality. Cups, emotion, love, feeling, the water element. Swords, the intellect, ideas, beliefs, conflict, the element of air. In other words, swoosh, the sword whoosh, through the air. That's why, that's the symbol. Yeah. Pages, court cards, enthusiasm, apprenticeship, learning, and decision. Knights, action, movement, communication, confidence. Queens, understanding, support, fertility, self-knowledge. Kings, mastery, power, control, wisdom. You know, these male-female dichotomies are becoming more questionable today, of course. For instance, why isn't mastery up here under the queen? Well, it is. We're just assigning almost, I mean, one could say arbitrarily, certain things to certain images because one has to differentiate for the purposes of the deck. But yes, mastery, control can just as easily be with the queen. But one could just as easily apply the king card to any female force. We all have both. We have female and male energy to varying degrees along a spectrum. It's never defined entirely or finite. It's continually in flux. So there's nothing wrong with putting mastery on a male image as long as you're willing to apply that male image and idea equally to female. They're just energies. So a female or a male can have a male and anything in between, anything, anyone can have the female or the qualities of the queen or the qualities of the king or knight or page. It doesn't matter. It's all open-ended in continual motion. Ain't no rule there. Book Jodorowsky, Alejandro Jodorowsky, the filmmaker. Big book in my research on tarot. Big factor. Because it deals with the Tarot de Marseille. And it really does give you an anchor if you're studying tarot, that book. He has a few ideas that are kooky. He gets a little too infatuated with tiny little details that could possibly be misprints over time in an image, and assigns too much importance to a little line that might drift a little bit, or a little gap, or it gets a little too much. But if you just take those for the little momentary glitches in his book, it's pretty darn solid, that book. What is the title? I have the darn book in another bookshelf. But anyway, Alejandro Jodorowsky wrote that book. Hang on. I should just go get it. Hang on a second. Because it is an important book. Let me go hang on. Yeah. The Way of the Tarot, the Spiritual Teacher in the Cards. That book is really good. So, yeah. And you can see he uses the Tarot de Marseille. Very good book for anyone studying tarot, whether they're looking at they're using the Rider-Waite. Oh, hang on, I have a question. I'm going to answer it. So yeah, this book it has humor also. And Jodorowsky is a therapist who uses the tarot to kind of make people feel good, not specifically to tell them what they should do. How? Okay, this question. I'm thinking about how to approach it. Okay. Shay, let me ask this. Usually people know already how they kind of have a feeling how somebody else feels about them. For instance, if I show you the clear this old reading, you have this number 8 card in the 10 card Celtic Cross reading that I was doing earlier. Outer social influence, that's the card about how we think about what other people are thinking of us or feeling about us. So I would never want to say how somebody definitively feels about someone else because I don't know. But looking at the cards and doing a reading, let's do one. Let's do a reading. But it's going to be about what you might want to think about in yourself about how you were viewed by someone else, about somebody else's feelings. So let's do a 3 card read. I'll go to the tarot table. Okay. And let me write this in the chat. I'll do a 3 card reading about possible ways of thinking about how someone feels. In other words, what you might consider when trying to ascertain what someone else feels. Okay? All right, let's go over to that table. Okay. So let's clear this reading. Let's do more of this shuffling because these cards are kind of stiff. Now I'm doing the tarot thing of really sort of pondering the question. Okay. All right. Things that we might want to think about and sort of really sort of consider and focus on to try and sort of understand how someone else is feeling or about us. This is about our own ideas our own self-analysis to sort of get a handle on why is it important for me to be able to figure out what somebody else thinks. Okay, it's sort of like that. And we'll say the card on the left is something that we may have been sort of focused on and might need to now start letting go of. The center is something to consider at the moment. And the card on the right is something that we might want to consider about another person's view or feelings toward us in the near future. Okay, so here we have 8 of swords, and that is sort of passing us, and this is a number card. It's not too significant. It's sort of temporary condition, okay? And as I was explaining earlier, the 8s are a sense of balance and perfection, and we've put a lot of energy in. We've done a lot of work and a lot of growth. So our feelings and another person's feelings perhaps have been kind of evolved and have gone through some sort of critical changes recently, but those critical changes in the 7 are kind of, they have a beneficial quality. They have a sort of a spiritual kind of an understanding quality, getting to know one's own intuitive responses to other people. So on our own, in and of ourselves, we have come a long way just recently in our own sort of understanding of how we feel, our own feelings about another person. But also we have gained some insight, which is valuable, into another person. Okay? That's happened already. That's something we possess, a tool we have at our disposal. Now we have the Judgment card, and this is one of the big arcana, major arcana cards, which is sort of a major personality component of ours. It's reversed, it's upside down. The Judgment card, you know, you've got somebody blowing a horn and waving a flag out of the clouds, out of a clear blue sky at these people down here, one of whom appears to be coming up possibly out of a grave or a crypt or something, but it rising to one's glory, to one's purpose. You know, it's like this big woo, woo, woo. Listen, this is what you should be doing. Don't you see? Don't you see what you should be doing? Listen to the obvious. That's what this card is saying. Listen to the obvious. I'm blowing the darn horn and waving a big flag around. Can't you see what I'm talking about? And it's upside down, reversed, which means that one has to be careful here, because the tendency is, when thinking about other people's feelings, is to forget the simple, most obvious things, the big, important things. And in many cases in life, it's not all that important what somebody else feels about you. The big one, the big kahuna cheese, the big ball of cheese, is how you feel. So what this is card upside down is saying, hey, you know, you might not be paying attention to really important things that can help guide you in your path and lead you toward what you really want, what's really good for you. So it's saying, okay, You've done a lot. You've come a long way, but they're sort of temporary little. They're not that significant. It's a number card. This was like a couple of days ago or a couple of weeks ago. You kind of had some good stuff going. You understand something about someone, um, But okay, that's nice and that's good and everything. But let that go. Now pay attention to the big, big, real issues. What do you think about yourself? How do you feel about yourself? How do you feel about this other person? You can't do anything about what somebody else feels. You can't make anyone feel anything in life. It's completely impossible. You can't put the right shoes, the right jacket, the right hat on. It ain't going to work. They aren't going to feel any different than they already do. So pay attention to the big important, the things that are important to you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what those are. You know what they are already. Listen to them because you know it. As soon as I said this, it popped into your head and you went, oh yeah, I know. And then the next thought might have been like, well, but still I want to hear it from you. But you know already. Now, coming up, you've got this 6 of Wands. Okay? Now, what did I say before about the 6? Attraction and pleasure. The 6. It's like, yes, this is beautiful. And it's the 6 of Wands. The wands are the fire energy, the creative, the sensual pleasure energy, the creative force, the fire in a person that moves them in creative directions. So, potentially paying attention to what's really important in yourself, what you feel and think, is in fact what leads to the next step coming up, which is kind of like a breakthrough. And you realize that there's a whole lot to like going on, and I can kind of really enjoy. That's a very positive card coming up there. Now, it's not a major arcana card, it's a number card. So it means that this deep-seated energy that you need to consider, this true, what is really important to me, I gotta listen to the voice inside that's really loud, actually, and that will drive me to the next step in the process here, which involves great satisfaction and pleasure and enjoyment. That is something to think about. So, let me. I just turned off my headphones somehow. I don't really need them, but I hope, Shay, that meant something as you heard it, that it sort of jostled little thought processes. These are just things that we all have. Like, we all want to know what somebody thinks about us. It's very, very natural. And this reading has a very positive path to it. So I kind of like that little story the tarot has told us tonight. I'm typing you. Yeah, Shay, thank you for asking. Actually, this is a new stream, brand new. Just today, I just got things set up and established, so it's nice to actually have some back and forth and discuss a reading with a real live person Um, so yeah, that's really good. Where am? Oh, let me go back over here. Oh, thank you for the follow, Shay. I'm just getting used to the how these things pop up. So, um, yeah, Twitch streaming on here. I gotta tell you, I I get there's like all these settings that you have, all these little things. It's like, wait a minute, why are these options over here in this category and not over here? I'm like, wait, I don't even know where to look. But I'm slowly figuring it out. It's like things are all over the place. It's a little confusing. I don't know. Like, I think using an iPhone is a lot easier than using Twitch, but it's pretty good actually once you get it. The stream thing seems to work really well. So I'm going to try to do a schedule of some kind. I have to come up with that because I'm actually really busy. so I need to figure out when I can do, because people like regularity in streaming. I know that anything like this, I get notifications from Twitch when certain people I follow go live, which is awesome because then But if they come at random times, then you never. It's better, I think, if things are a little bit sort of set. So I'm going to try to figure that out. Like evenings are a good time, I think. I think actually tarot is kind of a thing you want to do kind of at night anyway. It's like a night thing. Candles. So I'm going to do that. Let me, what was it I wanted to do? Oh yeah, I don't need that. We just did one. Machine learning. Yeah. Well, I already explained this. But I do think that the approach that I took in this app, is a relatively interesting one with doing that. I mean, that kind of analysis of language with software is it can be pretty useful, I think, in tarot. So, all right. So let me. Just thinking. Pondering my next move. I know what my next move is. Take a drink. That's my next move. Bubbly. housekeeping here. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm going to take a short break. I will be back. I'm going to put up a little intermission screen just to test it, make sure it's good. I'll be right back. All right. Hang on. Reading just a snippet from Jodorowsky's The Way of the Tarot book. A chapter called The Numerology of the Tarot. The human mind has a frequent tendency to adopt a pre-existing system to understand something it does not yet know. This is how the tarot has been incorporated into all manner of structures. Its 22 major arcana have encouraged a concordance with the Hebrew alphabet, but others have also applied constructions upon it borrowed from astrology, various forms of numerology or geometries, or even systems explaining the world created by multiple cultures. In the final analysis, these comparisons are useful only if they are temporary. There is a value to shedding light upon a system, using the concepts from another, but seeking to force them to conform at all costs only results in useless mutilations. In other words, as one of our first tasks, it is our duty to discover and integrate the original organizational numerology of the tarot. It is the foundation, the first degree of understanding the tarot. It will not yet allow us to read it, but it will enable us to integrate all its principles. This numerology will later become a measuring system that permits us to read all the decks based on the structure of the Tarot of Marseille. Integrating the numerical construction is like holding a key that, like musical notation or a grammar, gives meaning to the projective interpretation of the arcana. Numerology, the number cards, the abstraction of the symbols of the number cards in the Tarot de Marseille abstraction Abstraction. Abstraction. You know, there's just really two important things going on here. You know, people, Jodorowsky included. So you got this card, you got this guy with his book. Okay. This guy in his book does a lot of writing about the actual drawings on these cards, the little leaves. You know, what direction are the petals of the plant pointing? Are they twisty leaves? Are they flat leaves? Are they facing this way or that way? Are the stems cut? You know, it gets a little much. Really, the important thing in this card is that it's a 4 and it's the fire element of creative energy, wands, the suit of wands. That's what's really important here. You know those two things, and then you can put together these basic elements. 4, pretty foundational supportive structure number. Stable, 4 legs on a table. Usually 4 legs on a chair as a general sort of concept. See how it gets with tarot, really? You know, you don't necessarily need a picture of somebody, you know, buying a ticket and getting on an airplane and flying over a skyscraper. You know, you don't need that. All you need is these hints, and then your storytelling brain kicks in and does all the work that illustrator making that other deck would do for you. I'm being a little general here because it's not necessarily so that an image can't be awfully open-ended and suggesting different interpretations. Obviously, yes, of course. Look at the major arcana. To contradict myself, the major arcana, you know, of these things. But even these pictures tend to be, I don't know, they're just something about the Tarot de Marseille images strikes me. They're a bit crude in many ways. If you look, the drawings are, get that bare butt on one. Well, whatever. Here, let's get it out of you. You know, they're kind of ugly in a way. Like the faces are really kind of ugly. But they're symbolic. They work as a deck of cards better than most. I think many decks now are a little precious. You know, I very rarely see a deck of tarot cards that I can stand to look at for more than about a minute and a half. Very rare. And this is one reason why I wonder why tarot readers sometimes amass quite a number of decks and ask readers which deck they want to be read from. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that idea. Which deck do you want? I want the good deck. I want the deck that's going to tell me what to do. Well, that deck hasn't been drawn. Nobody ever drew a tarot deck that can tell you what to do. Not one person ever in the whole history of humanity has ever drawn a tarot card that can tell you what to do. I promise. No. All right. I'm gearing up to do one more reading. What's going on with my... I'm gearing up. Yes. Okay. I'm trying to monitor this. I'm trying to pay attention to the right controls on this thing. So if I seem a little preoccupied at moments, it's because I'm still trying to get the software. All right. Here's what I'll do. I'll hit the table again with a reading, a momentary, a reading of the moment. In other words, a reading for me and what to think about tomorrow morning to start the day. Simple. No big question I need to know anything about. Just sort of okay, wake up and keep this little thing in mind. All right. I'm going to knock the camera. I'm going to switch over to the table. So, right here. All right. Just food for thought for the beginning of the weekend is what I'm doing here. Every tarot reading is a little story that can be read anytime again by anyone and have something to offer. They're little stories. Okay. A little set of 3 cards, something to think about to start the weekend off. Okay. So, here, what's going on is we have the Pentacles. This is a 3-card spread, obviously, with something that I can not worry so much about. Can sort of, that's fine. It's had its influence. something to ponder tomorrow morning as I wake up, and something to work on for the weekend. Ten. That's a 10 of Pentacles. Pentacles is the earth symbol, the realm of work, our finances, our food, our sustenance, our nourishment, our taking care of ourselves, taking care of the physical body, our existence. That's what it's talking about. And the 10, we've come to the end. We've finished a week. It's been a nice progress this week. Look at me. I started streaming on Twitch and creating a tarot live stream. Prior to this, it's been video, recorded. This is the first time I've done a live tarot evening. And that's the culmination of a cycle of progression. It's something I've been through, some progress and learning, and I've evolved, and I've reached this point, and now that is passing us. I've done it. I can stop worrying about it. I can improve it, yes, but I've gotten there, and I've completed that part of the cycle. I put the work in. I've done the physical labor required, and it's a done deal. It's happened, and I can sleep. I can kind of rest now and prepare for my next phase. This is common to people that engage in complex projects, and they work hard on something. It doesn't have to be anything to do with streaming or tarot. It obviously can be anything that you apply yourself to. And when you feel like you finish something, it can even be a thought process. But this is tending, of course, toward the physical. Work, going to work, something you've done at work. You accomplished it this week, recently. And good job, well done, is what this card is saying. Now, what's next? Let's get ready. And what do we have here? But again, the earth symbol of the physical realm with the pentacles sign. The one, but reversed, upside down. The one is up here. You see, this is right side up. It's hard to tell, but you can tell with the deck of the Marseille because they always put the number at the bottom. The one is the infinite possibility and energy for that next thing. So basically it's saying, get up tomorrow, make yourself some coffee and have a nice, fry up some eggs and, just think about what you're ready to do. What's the obvious next thing you want to do because you're ready to take that step. You've got everything you need and everything's sort of built up inside and it's ready to go. You know what that is going to be. So just enjoy. Don't worry too much about it because it's all there in you. It's ready to go. You don't have to push. That's what that one of Pentacles is saying. And this is in the realm of the physical, the labor, the work, the self, the taking care of the actual job at hand. What's the next thing to work on, to build things? That's what it wants me to consider over my coffee and eggs tomorrow morning. And then coming up for the rest of the weekend, it's the King of Swords, and the King is a court card. It's a little bit more important than the number. It's a little bit more long lasting. So this will last for most of the weekend. This is something that I've done tonight. This is something to think about tomorrow over my eggs. This is something that'll last me through until next week. And the King of Swords, the mental, the intellect, is saying, okay, this is an upside down card, it's reversed, and my control and mastery over the ideas I need. I may not have everything I need yet. I may be inclined a little bit to push too quickly into something and not apply, do something without understanding it fully, without understanding its consequences fully. Be cautious about that. A little doubt, perhaps, creeping in. So, I've finished something. I need to consider what to do next. But of course, it's upside down here. I have this energy, but I may not know how to apply it. I may not know. Think about the specific things I need to do, to accomplish. Don't just let them just sit. Don't rest on my laurels, in other words. Don't rest on my success in one project and neglect to move forward to the next one. That's why this is upside down. And of course, this is continuing that, saying you need to apply your thinking, you need to think things through. You need to be precise. You need to understand what's required before moving forward in order to have real confidence and control of what you're doing and master the next steps. So that's what I need to think about this weekend. So potentially I've blundered into this live stream thing as my little project, and the cards are saying, okay, well, you got it done, you put it up there and everything, but do you have what it takes to keep it going? Are you going to do the next things? Ponder that tomorrow over your eggs and for the rest of the weekend. Make sure. So in other words, maybe I should just simply apply myself tomorrow again and do this again tomorrow at some point, just to push through to the next step. The next step would be some kind of continuity. That's what I get from that reading. So, talking about the eggs, though, makes me want to have breakfast. So, I'm getting hungry. Maybe I should have the eggs now. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait. Let me see. All right. So I think that I've covered some pretty decent bases this evening. And I think I will wrap it up for the night. And I'll do what I said. I will get another one going this weekend and try to have some more little interesting tidbits about tarot. Maybe read some more from something. Okay. So thank you for watching, and I will try and leave this available. I think what I'll do is export this from Twitch to YouTube. I can do that, I think, and to save these streams. If somebody wants to watch, somebody wants to watch them. All right. So thank you very much, and good night, and happy tarot pondering.